Let us study chemistry together with CBSE Chemistry tips and tricks.
Calculate the amount of carbon dioxide that would be produced when, first question, 1 mole of carbon is burned in air. For solving these type of questions, first you have to write balanced chemical equation. So what is the context here? Here you can see carbon is burned in air. So carbon is burned in air. Burning in air means reacting with oxygen. Okay. So what you will get? You will get CO2. Now check the stoichiometry of the balanced chemical equation. See, it's very clear. How many mole of carbon is there? 1 mole of carbon is reacting with 1 mole of oxygen to give what? 1 mole of carbon dioxide. So you understand how much mole of carbon dioxide is produced. What is that? 1 mole. Hope you understand. So it is clear that from 1 mole of carbon, 1 mole of carbon dioxide is produced. And we have to find the amount of carbon dioxide, mass of carbon dioxide, right? We know the number of moles. We have to find the mass. What is equation? We know there is an equation which connects number of moles and mass. What is that? Number of moles is equal to mass by molar mass, correct? And what we have to find? We have to find mass, right? So what is the mass? Mass is equal to number of moles into molar mass. So what is number of moles here? 1, right? And what is the molar mass? For carbon dioxide, carbon, what is atomic mass? 12. Plus oxygen, what is that? 16. How many oxygen is there? 2. So what is the molar mass? 44, right? So 1 into 44. And what is our answer? 44 gram. Hope you understand. Second question is 1 mole of carbon is burned in 16 gram of dioxygen. Again, we have to write the balanced chemical equation. For doing this question, you must remember a key point. See, here in this question, they have given the amount of both reactant, right? They have given the amount of carbon, it is 1 mole. They have given the amount of dioxygen, that is 16 gram. And they ask to find what? The amount of carbon dioxide product. Remember this, if they give the amount of both reactant and they ask to find the amount of product formed, in such cases you have to understand we have to follow the limiting reagent method. So it is a two-step process. First we have to identify limiting reagent, then we have to find the amount of carbon dioxide formed. Okay, let us try. As per the standard equation, see, 1 mole of carbon is combining with 1 mole of dioxygen, correct? 1 mole of carbon means what? 12 gram, correct? 1 mole of dioxygen means what? 2 into 16, that is 32 gram. These two values are from balanced chemical equation. Okay, for carbon 1 mole, right? So 12 gram. That you know, atomic mass of carbon is 12. Now for oxygen, again 1 mole, so it's a dioxygen. So 2 into 16, 32. So 32 gram of oxygen can react completely with the 12 gram of carbon, right? That is the meaning of that. Now check the question. See, what is the amount of carbon? 1 mole of carbon. It is again similar to what we find in balanced chemical equation, right? 1 only. Okay. So again, what is the mass? 12. See, this 12 is from the balanced chemical equation and this 12 is from the question. Got it, right? Now check how much dioxin. 16 gram dioxygen. But we are not writing that. We just put X. Okay, we are going to find limiting reagent by using X method. Cross multiply this. So what you will get? 12X is equal to 32 into 12. It's very easy. X, what you will get? X. It again 32 only, right? 32 into 12 by 12. It is going to get 32. So what is the meaning of X? X means it is the amount of oxygen required to react with 12 gram of carbon. So how much oxygen is required? 32 gram. 32 gram of oxygen is required to react with 12 gram of carbon. Correct. But how much we have as per the question? Only 16 gram, right? We have only 16 gram. So we identify the limiting reagent, right? Our actual requirement is 32 gram of dioxygen, but we have only 16 gram of dioxygen. So that is the limiting reagent. Hope you understand. So we are moving to the next step. We already identified the limiting reagent and our aim is to find the amount of carbon dioxide formed. For limiting reagent question, first you have to find limiting reagent. Then by using limiting reagent, you have to find the product. Remember that, okay? Again, we write the balanced chemical equation. For O2, what is the molar mass? O is 16 and O2, right? 16 into 2, what is that? 32. Now carbon dioxide, carbon is 12, oxygen is 16, 2 oxygen is there, so 44. These two values are from balanced chemical equation. Now check the question. Okay, how much oxygen is there? 16 gram, correct? And we have to find the amount of CO2 produced from 16 gram of oxygen. Again, cross multiply. So you will be getting like what? 32x. 32x is equal to what? 44 into 16. So x is equal to what? 44 into 16 by 32. Okay, you can cut, right? Okay, so 44 by 2 is what? 22 gram. So what is the meaning of that? You will get 22 gram of CO2 when 1 mole of carbon is burned in 16 gram of dioxygen. Okay. So remember, for limiting reagent questions, first you identify the limiting reagent by X method, then find the amount of product formed from the limiting reagent. Okay, that is the key steps. Okay. Question number 3. 2 moles of carbon are burned in 16 gram of oxygen. Similar to last question, you can see that the amount of both reactants are given, right? See, 2 moles of carbon and 16 gram of dioxygen, both are given. I already said you that if the amount of both reactants are given and if they ask to find the amount of product, that is carbon dioxide, then it is a question of limiting reagent. First you have to identify limiting reagent, then only you can find the amount of product. So what is our first task? Our first task is to find limiting reagent. Okay, for that first you have to write the balanced chemical equation. We already wrote it. So you can see that 1 mole of carbon is combining with 1 mole of oxygen as per the equation, right? Now what is the mass of carbon? Atomic mass of carbon, you know, it is 12. For oxygen, atomic mass is 16 and 2 oxygen is there in the dioxygen, so 32, correct? We got this value from the balanced equation, right? Now check the question. How many moles of carbon is there? 2 moles of carbon is there, right? So from the question it is given that 2 moles of carbon is there, right? We have to find how much mass is correspond to 2 moles of carbon. For that you have to use equation. Number of moles is equal to mass by molar mass. Okay, how many moles of carbon? 2, right? Okay, mass by molar mass of carbon is what? 12. So what is mass? Mass is equal to 2 into 12, that is 24. So what is the mass of 2 moles of carbon? 24. Okay, and regarding oxygen, it is given that 16 gram of oxygen, but we are not writing that. Okay, we are just putting X. Okay, now these two values we got from the equation, balanced equation, and this value we got from the question. Okay, one value we keep it as unknown. Now cross multiply. What you will get? 12x is equal to 24 into 32. On calculation, what you will get? X is equal to 24 into 32 by 12. Okay, so you will be getting 64 gram. So how much oxygen is required? 64 gram. How much is there in our hand? Only 16 gram, right? 64 is required and we have only 16 gram. So what is the limiting reagent? Oxygen. So first task finished, right? What is our final task? To find the amount of carbon dioxide. And I already said you that for limiting reagent type questions, you have to find the amount of product from the limiting reagent. So by using the oxygen, you have to find the amount of CO2 formed. Now from the balanced chemical equation, see what is the amount of oxygen? 32. Okay, about carbon dioxide, carbon is 12, oxygen is 16, 2 oxygen is there, total 44, right? 44. Now, what is the amount of limiting reagent given in the question? 16 gram, right? 16. And you have to find CO2. Use X method, cross multiply it. 32X is equal to 44 into 16. So what is X? 44 into 16 by 32. Can cut, right? You will be getting 22 gram. So the amount of CO2 formed is equal to 22 gram. Hope all of you understand.